Okay, this is the March 20th Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission meeting agenda. And if we could start it out by bring the roll. Here.
Commissioner Chowry,
Here.
Commissioner Curran,
Here.
Commissioner Floyd,
Here.
Commissioner Glenn,
Here.
Commissioner Japong Porter,
Here.
Commissioner Hayes,
Here.
Commissioner Miletus,
Here.
Commissioner Warren,
Here.
Chair Doherty.
Here. Yeah, I would. Has anybody got any questions on the minutes? That's right. I would entertain a motion to approval of the commission meeting minutes from February 20th.
Chair.
Commissioner,
I move to approve the February 20th, 2025 commission meeting minutes as written.
second.
Second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? You take the roll, please.
Commissioner Chowry,
Yes.
Commissioner Curran,
Yes.
Commissioner Floyd,
Yes.
Commissioner Glenn,
Yes.
Commissioner Japong Porter,
Yeah.
Commissioner Hayes,
Yes.
Commissioner Miletus,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Chair Doherty.
Yes. So next we have public comment on the possible extension of the 50-cent surcharge on distilled spirit products for 2025. And starting with Marva Bull. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
Thank you
morning.
for having me.
Happy to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Do we still have 3 minutes?
Yes, you have 3 minutes. Did we ever discuss
Just
that?
checking.
Will you do that? 3 minutes?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
I won't be as hard as you were, Commissioner Revolve.
I thought I trained you better.
I've got
Well,
you
good
clocked
morning.
minutes.
Yeah, we've got a buzzer now.
Okay. Good morning. For the record, my name is Marvin Revolve. And from November 2013 to the 1st of October 2023, I was a commissioner on the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission. And my final year, I was the chair. Today, I'd like to ask you to give the industry you regulate for the state of Oregon a $45 million raise by ending the 50-cent surcharge. The surcharge was enacted 3 administrations ago and was supposed to have ended, sunset, if you will, within 3 years. That didn't happen, as we all know, because for some reason, the state believed that they always needed more money, and that money in particular. That isn't true. 2 years ago, we were asked to impose an additional 50-cent surcharge, which would have ended up being $90 million biennium. This was just as the state was entering into a $5 billion surplus. So much for needing the money. Think what these small businesses could do with their share of $45 million. I didn't make these numbers up. They came from our own analysts at the OLCC. Later today, you may hear the same statements we heard 2 years ago, that by keeping liquor expensive, you will help reduce abuse. That isn't true. Those who unfortunately abuse have already moved to less expensive sources and products, such as beer and wine. You may also hear that these funds and fees or taxes will be used to house the homeless. That isn't true either, and that's what we heard 2 years ago. These fees simply go into the general fund, just like the $5 billion did, and still is. You may hear how liquor kills thousands of people across America, and that may be true, but that has nothing to do with a tax or fee on a select group of individuals here in Oregon. You may hear that the governor will be unhappy with you. That's also not true. In fact, at the end of our process 2 years ago, and it didn't happen, I received a really lovely letter from the governor's office at my home, thanking me for our service. You may also hear, as I did, that you're protecting the distillers from the legislature. By keeping this fee or tax, you're protecting them for greater taxes down the road. Yeah, I know. Even I was naive once upon a time. and believed it. Finally, I'm going to ask that you do something very similar to what a movie Spike Lee did 30 years ago. A movie I made my sons watch 3 times. It was called Do the Right Thing, about young people in the neighborhood doing the right thing. So when this is all said and done, I'm going to ask you to be like Spike and do the right thing and end this 50-cent surcharge once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Roll. Appreciate it.
You're right on the money.
I trained by the best.
Next, we'll hear from Nicole Pelletier.
So
Is that right? Is she on
having a
here?
hard time finding her.
Oh, okay.
So I'll continue to look.
We can,
First, I'd like to just thank the Honorable Reval. Thank you. Thank you for coming on and providing your testimony. You have a very in-depth and valuable perspective on this, and it is very important for this commission to hear. We've got a lot of new commissioners, and it's very important for us to hear your perspective. So thank you for taking the time and coming on today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
thank you. Is Francisco here? Okay. We hear from, yeah, and we hear from Mr. Francisco Castillo.
Can you guys hear me, commissioners?
Yes.
All right. Good morning, Mr.
Welcome.
Chair and commissioners. Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Francisco Castillo, and I'm here today on behalf of Diageo North America to express strong opposition to the proposed extension of the 50-cent per bottle surcharge on distilled spirits. As you heard, this surcharge, initially implemented as a temporary measure, has been repeatedly extended for a decade and a half. It's time for the OLCC to reconsider its continued imposition and its broader impact on businesses, consumers, and the Oregon economy. Oregon already has the second highest distilled spirits tax in the nation and leads all control states in the highest markup, 113%. On top of this, businesses and consumers are burdened with an additional $1.40 case fee and the current 50-cent per bottle surcharge. These costs place Oregon at a distinct competitive disadvantage compared to neighboring states, impacting both in-state distilleries and retailers. Distilled spirits are unfairly taxed compared to beer, wine, and cider, accounting for over 95% of all alcohol tax revenues collected by the state. This disproportionate taxation penalizes our industry while providing a subsidy for others. Beyond the policy inequities, the economic impact of this surcharge cannot be ignored. The looming uncertainties of tariffs and broader economic shifts place Oregon's distillers, many of them small, locally owned businesses, in an increasingly vulnerable position. Simply stated, the alcohol beverage industry is currently facing a particularly challenging time, and renewal of the surcharge for another 2 years will be harmful. The OLCC must consider the long-term consequences of this measure and recognize that a temporary surcharge, when extended indefinitely, is no longer temporary. It's an unjustified and harmful tax. So on behalf of Diageo, I urge the Commission to reject the extension of the 50-cent surcharge and instead pursue policies that supports Oregon's distilling industry, encourages fair competition, and promotes economic sustainability. The aftermath of the financial crisis of 2008, which gave rise to the temporary surcharge, has long passed. And while the distilled spirits industry unjustifiably continues to bear heavy burdens. So appreciate your time and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. Appreciate it. We now hear from Mr. Adam Smith.
Thank you, commissioners. I could save a lot of time by just saying ditto to the previous 2 presenters' comments, especially Foreman Chair Revol's, but I'll do my due diligence here. I am Adam Smith with the Distilled Spirits Council of the United States, and we urge you to let this temporary 50-cent surcharge on spirits containers expire. Of course, this temporary surcharge, as you have heard, has been in place and renewed repeatedly since 2009. Oregon consumers and small businesses pay the second highest tax on spirits products in the country. Even if the surcharge is not renewed, Oregon will still have the highest tax rate among control states by far, and the second highest tax burden on spirits products in the country. Spirits consumers and businesses in Oregon should not continue to be targeted for this surcharge. While we understand the value of the programs funded by the surcharge, Oregon's spirits consumers and producers should not alone shoulder the burden of funding these programs. Responsible consumption by legal drinking age consumers is a cornerstone to both Discus and our member companies. Higher taxes and fees harm consumers that choose to drink in a responsible manner. I request that you, the members of the OLCC, consider letting this temporary surcharge expire. Thank you for your time and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Nicole here?
I still don't see it.
Okay. Then we hear from Annalise Dolph. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning.
Good
Chairman,
morning.
Members of the commission. I'm Annalise Dahl. I'm the director of the Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission. And so we are charged with improving the continuum of care for substance use disorder services in the state and work across 14 agencies, including the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission. So I'm here today. Our commission voted on March 10th to support the continuation of the surcharge. So I just quickly want to note from my perspective as an agency partner of the OLCC, ways in which I think we're aligning and also some reasons to continue the surcharge. So I think both Director Prince and I are undergoing an effort to make sure that we're really aligned in what the role of the OLCC is in our system. You all serve a very important public health role in terms of the oversight function that the OLCC does. It is not your role to provide treatment, et cetera, in the system, but the OLCC has a very important role when, particularly as it comes to underage use, as well as over service, et cetera, in addition to your revenue role. I will say that I think through the alcohol task force that happened last summer and the work that we're also doing with the industry, I think we're really coming to a place where there's a movement that is coming around an alignment of delaying use in youth. That is something that we can all agree on. It's an important function across the system. The longer we can delay use in youth, the less likely it is that people have substance use disorder down the road. So really appreciate the alignment that we're seeing and want to say an appreciation to Director Prince and his staff. I say all of that because you also have this very important role of raising revenue. And I'm here, good news, bad news, to say we our largest revenue resource in the state to support substance use disorder services across the continuum is federal funds. So the Medicaid program is the largest use of federal funds, but it also includes block grant funds and other grant funds that serve other parts of the system, in particular prevention. And I think we all know that our federal funding is very, very uncertain right now. We're also faced with the fact that our number 2 revenue source, cannabis revenue, which you all also oversee and are very well aware, is also down. So we are coming into the time when you are making this decision when general fund is more important than it really has been for quite some time. And so now is just simply not the time to not continue the surcharge, given the uncertainties. It is true that general fund does not have a direct line to substance use disorder services. But I think that's where we have an opportunity to align with our commission and your commission to continue to demand transparency on where the current funding is going. And also just to demand that there is a priority as we move forward with general fund for funding the substance use disorder continuum, and particularly in that prevention space, where I think we all agree that legal moderate use is fine, but we really want to prevent severe substance use disorder and youth use. And you will hear in a moment from my chair as well, speaking more from the commission perspective, but in terms of the agency to agency perspective, that is my ask to you to continue the search.
Thank you, Ms. Dahl. Any questions? Can I ask one question? You said the general fund is the largest smart funds for abuse or treatment, and is that correct?
Across the continuum of care. So looking from prevention to treatment to recovery to
Yeah.
harm reduction services for
Okay.
youth and adults. It's true, general fund is only the third largest resource.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Chair?
Yes.
Just one question.
Commissioner,
Annalise, how much funding did your commission receive? Or did your program receive?
So the ADPC acts as more of an umbrella organization. So funding doesn't run directly through us. We make recommendations on how the funding is to be spent across the community.
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Bo Brinson? Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in.
Absolutely. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Bo Brinson, and I'm the Executive Director of Oregon Recovers. We're a statewide nonprofit organization that's mission is to end organ addiction crisis by increasing access to effective care. Oregon Recovers fully supports the steps OLCC has taken to increase public health over the recent years, and hope that my testimony today supports continued effort to do so. Oregon is facing a catastrophic alcohol crisis, one that is devastating families, overwhelming our healthcare system, and costing the state billions. Alcohol is the #1 cause of preventable death in Oregon, killing more people than all other drugs combined. On average, 6 Oregonians die every day from alcohol-related causes, yet our state ranks dead last when it comes to addiction treatment. Alcohol's impact extends far beyond individual health. It fuels crises in nearly every sector across our society. Alcohol-related liver disease and cancer rates are rising, leading to preventable hospitalizations and deaths. Drunk driving remains a leading cause of fatal crashes, killing innocent people on our roads. Alcohol is a key driver of domestic violence, child abuse, sexual assault, and further straining social services. Oregon's already overstretched mental health system is buckling under the weight of alcohol-related depression, anxiety, and suicide. Despite these staggering harms, Oregon does not adequately invest in prevention and treatment compared to other states. The OLCC has the opportunity to utilize its tools and maintain critical funding that supports access to care. The 50-cent surcharge on spirits is a critical step in that direction, generating much needed revenue to offset alcohol's immense social costs. So please continue the surcharge, and thank you so much for your time and dedicated service to our state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brinson.
Mr. Benson, I
Yes.
have a question.
Sure.
Something that I always struggle with,
Mhm.
and I've asked this question before. Because you brought this up, that we are in a catastrophic crisis in Oregon. And there is, in the stats, if you Google it, we are one of the top binge drinking. I mean, there's definitely differences of opinions out there, but Oregon is always in the top half, usually, right? As binge drinking, excessive drinking, and so forth.
Correct.
Yet we are #1, #2, definitely in the top 3 of the highest prices already in alcohol.
Right.
So it would seem to me that those two things, raising prices or keeping prices high, are not having the effect that we actually want economically. And I've asked for studies that actually say that at this point, keeping those prices even higher is going to have that effect. Do you have that? And can you explain why, even though we are one of the very highest in the whole country, we are still having such a crisis with alcoholism?
Yeah, that's a great question. Alcohol is overuse is something that people struggle with. And I believe that a lot of times what happens is people, including you, go out and it's like this social norm. People think that it's cool and fun to drink until what happens is later on in life when they realize that alcohol is actually killing a lot of people. Well, yeah, it is because people are making that choice to continue to overuse. There are people that, I have friends, personal friends that drink and don't have a problem, you know what I mean? But unlike myself, if I drink, you know, what happens is then my inhibitions get lowered and then all this other stuff happens. So, I think that, you know, with continued support with this particular funding, and I know that there's also some other, things coming up in the legislature to, offset, you know, like the taxes that distilled spirits gets, with beer, wine, and cider. So I think that that might make some of the people feel a little better about it being, instead of distilled spirits being taxed like this and beer, wine, and cider is down here, you know what I mean? Like it might,
Maybe targeting that would be better. So
exactly.
I have another, one last follow-up. Since this tax has been put into place, I live in rural Oregon. Our access to treatment has gone down.
Mhm.
So I can tell you that we have less services now
Mhm.
and that we aren't being able to get the help that my clients, for example, I'm in family law and I see a lot of people who drug and alcohol is a lot of reasons that families are falling apart. So I can see that for you. So my concern is that this money that we're raising is not getting to the people, especially rural Oregon. I have a hard time looking at raising this money and then seeing my own constituents say, it's 3 months plus maybe to get into a therapist.
Mhm.
And then, you know, being able to stay with a therapist, we don't have access to that.
Right.
And so it's not creating that. And so do you have any proposals on how that would, or do you know how that money is going to be able to get used in that way?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for asking that. I know that us as Oregon Recovers, we're a statewide organization. And a lot of times, rural and frontier Oregon are underserved and they've got, you know, higher addiction rates and higher overdose rates and things like that. So I know that that's something me being new to this position as of 5 months. I know that rural Oregon, because I'm from a rural town in California, so rural is near and dear to my heart. So people that know me across the state know that I always am advocating for those over. There's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of time not going or resources going into those rural communities. So I do know that that's something that I'm focusing on and making sure that you know, services are going there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope that
Yeah.
kind of answered
It does,
the
it does.
the
Thank you.
question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bazina? Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Tony Vesna. I'm a person in long-term recovery. I'm coming up on 13 years sober. I run an organization called 40 Recovery. We should focus on supporting adolescents and young adults in overcoming addiction. I have about 150 staff across multiple counties. I have the pleasure of being the chair of the Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission. I have some written remarks, but I think I'm going to just kind of talk off the cuff here, commissioner to commissioners. So I'm chair of the Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission because I feel compelled as an Oregonian, as a person who got into recovery, to do my duty in serving the best interests of Oregonians. I believe that commissions have a powerful role to play in creating public health and public safety as oversight bodies. I believe you guys are volunteers as well. And I just wanted to commend you for your time and energy and dedication to advancing the interests of Oregonians. I believe it behests us as commission to commission to work together to further refine where our responsibilities are and how we can best utilize the tools at our disposal to not only create economic opportunity in Oregon, but also create health opportunities in Oregon. The commission met and we sent you guys a letter and we asked that you continue the surcharge. It provides some critical funding through the general fund, which is not a direct allocation, although several of my commissioners would hope that it could be and wish that you had the power to ensure that that funding from the surcharge went to dedicated services for individuals in rural Oregon and young people and other critical services that we do. Through this partnership between our two commissions, I do believe over the course of the next 4 years, we can find not only alcohol's role in addressing some of the problems it causes, but also looking at other funding opportunities so that alcohol does not feel it is the only one responsible and is demonized for what it does. The truth is, some people drink alcohol and they have a fine life, other people don't. And oftentimes it's our youth who are the most vulnerable. So we hope at the commission that we can continue to partner and that you will read our letter, look at our composition and the experts we have, and continue the surcharge so that we can ensure we have ample revenue to provide specifically matching funds to Medicaid dollars, which does support some of our most vulnerable. And I'm happy to answer any questions and appreciate your time and attention today.
Any questions?
No questions. Congratulations on your sobriety.
Yeah, congratulations on your sobriety.
Thank you.
And we hear from Mr. Parrott. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. It's getting cozy up there. Thanks the last time I was before you. Thanks for the opportunity. For the record, I'm Tom Herrick. I'm the National Director for State Government Affairs for the American Distilled Spirits Alliance. Our members represent about 60% of the distilled spirit sales in the US, and nearly every one of them has products on the liquor store shelves of the store owners behind me. Our members support you, the commission. We certainly support the entire OLCC professional staff. But on this matter of yet another renewal of the per bottle surcharge, no surprise, we must oppose. I happen to be Oregon based, so as a consumer, I pay the surcharge myself. Along with a number of you and certainly the former chair and his comments to lead us off, we sat in this room and opposed what would have doubled the surcharge 2 years ago. It was really for no clear reason to us back then. It was during a time of surplus revenue and a record, if not or near record kicker. So after much debate back then, this commission, the industry stakeholders and the governor's office, all working together, that proposal got pulled. We continue to be grateful for that decision. Back then, I said I would be back in 2025 to oppose the original surcharge, and so here we are. Thank you, commissioners, for your service and for hearing me out. You're well aware, as we are, that liquor sales have slowed, therefore revenue to the state has certainly begun to slow from liquor sales. Oregon's not alone. We're hearing this from commissions all over the country. Statewide, our revenues are generally slowing as well for the state of Oregon, but it's still significant, and there's even whispers of yet another kicker. That would suggest the revenue model that no longer requires this liquor surcharge. We are far removed from the 2009 economic crisis that was the basis of this surcharge to begin with. So it's not lost on any of us that we're now at 15 or 16 years worth of temporary surcharge. So we believe the time has come to finally expire this surcharge and put that money back into the pockets of Oregonians who will spend it. They will spend it in the stores behind me or throughout Oregon's other private economy. As the former chair pointed out, and as the estimates appear, it's about 40 million in the 25-27 biennium, instead of sending that money down to Salem and the often leaky general fund. So to mention in my formal comments, and as my colleague Adam Smith from Discus has pointed out, even with the 50% surcharge gone, Oregon will remain number 2, likely remain number 2 in spirits excise taxes around the country, behind only neighboring Washington State, which will retain that number 1 title. So just in closing, the legislature does have a number of alcohol-related bills before them this session. Since they are focused on alcohol and other competitive issues, now is the perfect time to let this
Remarks, please.
curiously titled temporary surcharge expire and kick it back to the legislators in Salem to continue their deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, commissioners? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Mr. Murray. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Morning.
How are you doing this morning?
Pretty good. Wish everything was flowing as well as my hair. Chair Darty, OLC Commissioner. My name is Jared Murray. I am the Executive Director of Painted Horse Recovery and a person in long-term recovery from alcohol and other drugs. 10/19/12 is my clean date. And I am here today to request the OLCC continue the 50-cent surcharge on distilled spirits. Liquor is everywhere, and it has been for a long time. When alcohol was introduced to Native Americans, it had a devastating consequence that we are still recovering from today. Alcohol has destroyed my community in many different aspects. Not just alcohol, but the spirit of alcohol. In Oregon, there are liquor stores and a lot of spaces downtown, and it is extremely accessible to my people. Sadly, in Oregon, treatment options are not as available as liquor. And that is why this surcharge is essential. The surcharge is important for my community because it provides general fund dollars to the state, some of which are used to provide treatment services to help my people. In some ways, the surcharge demonstrates the state's ability to take responsibility for the harms of legal addictive substances. I feel the OLCC must continue the surcharge so funding is not lost in our general budget, especially with the uncertainty of the federal funding landscape. I appreciate all of your time and dedication to serving the community, and I hope my comments today move you to continue helping mine in the fight against addiction. With uncertainty at the federal level, the state needs every dollar. Just thank you. And Painted Horses really helped our community, and the more funding we have to help my community, the better off. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your recovery
Yes.
from
I
a.
thought you were gonna say congratulations on my hair. I was gonna say.
I'm not giving you any congratulations.
No, but thank you. Yeah. Alcohol and drugs had destroyed my life, and to be able to get off the reservation where everything is kind of just given to you and codependency on the government, and be able to stand up in my recovery and stand up for my community to fight back has been one of the biggest things I've ever done, and also to be a present single father.
Oh, congratulations. Well, as a fellow recoverer, I don't know if that's a word or not, fellow recoverer. Anyway, congratulations.
Thank you.
Recovery, maybe that's it.
Thank you,
Thank
Jared.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Ms. Parger, or is it Parker? Good morning.
Good morning.
How do I pronounce your last name? I'm sorry.
Barger.
Barger, all right. I got one of them right.
Yeah. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Sarah Barger. I work for 4D Recovery. I am the Public Affairs and Relations Director, and I'm also a person in long-term recovery, coming up on 13 years too, before John. Just want to throw that out there. So 4D requests that the Commission continue the surcharge on spirits. General funds are utilized to ensure low-income Oregonians have access to Medicaid, and the surcharge provides critical dollars to our general fund. Alcohol compared to other substances leads to more deaths per year in Oregon, equating to an average of 6 Oregonians a day. Additionally, alcohol is linked to a variety of negative health, social well-being, and economic effects. These impacts and more call on the OLCC as the controlling instrument in our state to ensure that the legal but at times devastating substance is regulated to safeguard public well-being, while also setting economically practical pricing. This continual will further hamstring our legislator by reducing valuable general fund revenues. 4D affirms that the OLCC reaches its alignment with the Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission, which exemplifies strong stewardship of community health, to take this responsibility further. 4D requests that the OLCC recommend to the legislator that the surcharge be earmarked for adolescent prevention and treatment funding. 4D would like to thank you for your service, your time, and your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We haven't still gotten a call. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And we hear from Mr. Tom Burklow. Is that correct? You can straighten me out on my pronunciation.
Yeah,
So-
Berklow.
Berklow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and Commission. Thanks
Good
for
morning, welcome.
opening comments. I'm Tom Berklow, owner of New Deal Distillery, one of the oldest distilleries in the state, also president of the Oregon Distillers Guild. But I'm here mostly on behalf of myself, but I know my members have a similar viewpoint. Feel like I just heard a sledgehammer directed at my industry from some previous commentators. A couple comments. Temporary surcharges put in 2009. Maybe it wasn't the best thought out policy, but the impact on me as a small business is about 3% of my margin. And so for me, the surcharge is a tax. I mean, that's how it functions for me. I think I pay about $18,000 just because of the surcharge. What you guys don't understand is, well, you probably do understand, is that at any price point in the state of Oregon, a big company can sell at that price point. I can't raise my prices to change, to adapt to the surcharge. So I just have to eat that. And I've heard people worried about, alcohol addiction issues. I don't think we're talking about prohibition here. Since we're not talking about prohibition here, and we're talking about pricing, big brands can do pricing at any level. And as long as unless you're going to do minimum floor pricing, you're not going to really change things on the spirit front, and people always have options for beer and wine when it's still way cheaper. So this policy certainly doesn't affect anything dealing with alcohol control. It's just a direct tax out of my pocket and fellow members, which makes it hard for me, because that's almost a half an employee that I have to pay. I was laid off my first employee this year because of the situation. And in terms of the revenue in the general fund, I mean, it's kind of, I think, up to the legislature to decide how they're going to fund alcohol treatment programs. I mean, it's like we have I don't know how many members are on the commission here. It seems strange that you guys should not be responsible for funding alcohol programs. We're just trying to keep small businesses in shape, keep us going. And yes, alcohol has problems, but this policy certainly is not the right fix for everything I've heard here today. It is literally just a tax on small Oregon businesses. And I think the Oregon Distillers Guild is hopefully requested to get in front of you guys. I know a lot of you are new, and then kind of talk about the economic state of our industry. I think I'm the only person here today who wasn't paid to be here. So, this is small businesses. There's about 100 of us in the state, and we are growing, hopefully strong, positive, responsible economic force in our state. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
How many distillers do we have in the state?
There's about 120 licenses, but maybe only 50 to 70 of those are kind of like, up and going businesses. Then about, I think 80% of the ones that are successful or whatever, at least still in business, about 50% of them are members of the Oregon Distillers Guild.
Thank you very much.
And you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a low word on her. Okay. So should we move on to?
Well, go ahead and I'll look one more time because there's one person.
That's it.
Go ahead.
We're gonna move to the next. Yeah, okay. Craig, you want to week on our lab report? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that
that's
has,
the last report.
yeah.
Thanks.
No, there, she's not on.
Chair Doherty, members of the commission, for the record, my name is Richard Evans and I'm the Public Safety Director at OLCC. Today you're going to hear about hemp, and there's been a lot of conversations on the commission dating back to the 2018, 2019, 2020, when I started hearing about hemp being one of the biggest challenges or biggest concerns of having a regulated market, protecting the regulated market, and only being the only location where THC would be sold in Oregon. Oregon has historically worked hard on trying to control the hemp market, basically the THC market in Oregon. We are ahead of other states. And when I have tried, and the OLCC has tried to bring up concerns, I've been told that hemp is like corn. Hemp is another crop. It's not dangerous. You don't need to worry about it. OLCC needs to worry about the regulated market. We have continued to work. I talk to the industry constantly. I talk to folks in the field constantly. I'm hearing what is being heard, said, sold, and we're at a point now where we have created some positions to actually look into this market. Today, seated with me are some of OLCC's employees. I want to introduce them and let them talk to you about what they found in this report. To my left is Larry Brown. He is our only hemp inspector in the state of Oregon. In this report, you'll see that there's 151 items that have been purchased in the market and tested. Larry's the one that is doing all of these investigations. He's our sole hemp investigator. Larry came from the marijuana side, has been in the program from day one, and he's a senior inspector and he's done a lot of work. So I want to give him credit for that. To his left, we have Stephen Crowley. Stephen Crowley is an actual expert on cannabinoids and hemp. He is often asked to speak at camera to talk about all of the iterations of cannabis, synthetic THC, and we're fortunate to have him here. His role here is at OLCC right now is he is our hemp expert, and he is always constantly looking into the market, trying to figure out what is actually going on. He is a wealth of information, so I appreciate him. To his left is David Standiford. David is our laboratory person. You have heard about the new reference lab we have here where we are able to test items in the market to see if the labs are actually testing properly. David is our one-man show in laboratories. David is also a national expert. He's on the CANRA committee and he is leading a lot of national group on trying to set up reference labs across the United States. We're very fortunate to have them. There are two other folks that are extremely important to this program that are here. One is here and one is not, and that is Anthony Jeltosky. Anthony is our packaging and labeling person. When you see a product, he's in the back, and he is the one responsible for that program. He has an assistant, Cynthia. We have a two-man show. January 1 of 2026 is when packaging and labeling restrictions will go into effect in hemp in Oregon. We will be adding 2 more positions, but as you can see, we really don't have a lot of resources on the hemp side of the house. That, we are gaining and we're doing well, but you will hear, I think, some disturbing information that some of this hemp is really not hemp, and it's targeting children. It's not tested properly, and it's actually THC, and it's the biggest threat that I fear to the regulated market. I've had licensees come to me, Rich, why in the world would I want to get into your regulated market with all the controls, all the higher taxes, all the regulations, when I can grow hemp, sell it on the internet, and make 10 times more money without anybody even coming to check on me more. So I think you're going to be interested to hear what these gentlemen have to say today, and I appreciate your time in this matter. I'll step back and let them do their work as they are the best at it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair Doherty, members of the commission. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. As Rich said, my name is David Stanford, and I'm the Laboratory Compliance Coordinator.
And I'm Stephen Crowley. I'm the Hemp and Cannabinoid Compliance Coordinator.
There's one other person who is here today, which is Dr. Roger Vogler, who is our lead chemist at the reference lab. And without him, none of this testing would be possible. And so I just wanted to also name him as an exceptional help in drafting this report. So the idea of this started last August, and we had samples arriving at the laboratory by September. Our idea was last November was the 10-year anniversary of marijuana being legalized in Oregon. And so we wanted to do a look back and study what is going on in the current cannabis market. And so by cannabis, I'm referring to both marijuana and hemp. It's the same plant, it's the same thing. It's only a legal distinction between the two. So that's a big takeaway I want to drive. Same thing. And so we wanted to look at the whole thing. While we're the Cannabis Commission, we entirely focus on OLCC licensed marijuana establishments. And so there's kind of a whole other, if you think about it as an iceberg, we've got the marijuana piece up here, but then you have this whole other piece, the hemp piece that exists kind of outside of most of our regulatory authority. And so while there are other state agencies that address that, and Stephen will explain some of that, a lot of that is more difficult to kind of get to. So we created this idea, this Operation Clean Leaf, as a debut mission of our reference lab. As we were bringing machines online and literally unpacking them out of the box, we were having samples lined up to start getting testing as a way to kind of explore 3 different areas of our market. We wanted to look at pesticide contamination, and we'll explain a little bit more of that. We wanted to look at packaging and labeling, specifically comparing hemp edibles, because this is a incredibly popular product field, especially outside of Oregon, where a lot of consumers in many states don't have legal access to marijuana edibles. And so they purchase hemp edibles to kind of get the exact same effect. And those products are being sold to consumers in Oregon as well as kind of like a competing thing. And so we wanted to explore the differences between the marijuana edibles that we regulate and the controls we have on the packaging and labeling of those comparatively to what else is coming into the state. And then finally, we wanted to look at cannabinoid concentration, which is just the fancy term for potency. We wanted to explore, you know, how potent these products were, their intoxicating effects, and how did that line up with what was on the label. This is a issue that is of growing national concern. I helped chair a subcommittee regarding laboratory fraud and concerns about potency results on labels. And so I am talking to regulators every day about this. And so that's kind of where we wanted to explore in 3 different areas with this report. So as Rich said, we collected 151 samples. We were aiming for 150. I wanted a round number. We actually got some extras in the mail and we couldn't help test it. So we had to run some tests on it too. We got 50 marijuana samples from 49 different grows. The idea was to get as diverse array as possible, and then we accidentally doubled up on one. But we tried to get as much geographic diversity as we could within Oregon. Larry went undercover and just bought things off from random retailers to all over the state. We had him driving all over. And then he also went and bought hemp flower. So again, identical plant, but being sold not in our licensed retailers, from both in-state and out-of-state sources. So both online, farmers markets, CBD hemp stores, things like that. So kind of explain some of the stats about that. What did that look like? Here's kind of how diverse we were able to get out. This is all information that was on either on their websites or that we could glean from trying to research where the products we were ordering came from. Frequently, in some cases, it advertised like it was coming from the East Coast, but it would arrive the very next day, having clearly shipped from an in-state source, but the website says it's, you know, over on the East Coast. So it's difficult to 100% have confidence of where some of this stuff is coming from, but that's additional part of the concern.
And so before we dive into the results, I wanted to take a second to talk about what is hemp, what is marijuana, and what the difference is between the two. As David mentioned, they're the same plant. Both hemp and marijuana are cannabis, and the difference between the two is purely a legal distinction. In terms of the line between hemp and marijuana, the definition in federal law sets a limit of 0.3% Delta 9 THC as the concentration threshold. Above that, it's marijuana. Below that, it's hemp. But there's a lot of other language within that federal definition that different people have different ideas about exactly what that means. There haven't been enough court cases to really settle those questions. And then to further complicate it a little bit, Oregon, like a lot of other states, has our own statutory definition of hemp, and that's a little bit different than the federal definition. So that line between marijuana and hemp can be a little complicated and context dependent. Next slide.
The chair,
Yes.
So irrespective though of the filling concentration, if you are able to purchase a number of that same product, you'll still exceed that filling.
Yes.
So it doesn't really make sense.
Chair Doherty, Commissioner Japon Porter, that's correct. And that's actually the next point that I wanted to make sure to really drive home is that hemp does not mean non-intoxicating. Hemp, no matter how you read that federal definition, there are significant loopholes in there that allow for extremely intoxicating products. So a lot of people, when they think about hemp, they're thinking about hemp grain and fiber products, building materials, textiles, cosmetics, health foods, maybe CBD, which is a cannabinoid but is not intoxicating. But the reality is that there are products that fit within that definition of hemp that are, have far, far more THC than we allow in our adult use marijuana market. And also, because those are hemp and not marijuana, and not subject to the retail tax that we have on marijuana. It's also.
Next question here. People buying these hemp products, are they all aware that they are psychoactive or?
Chair Doherty, it's difficult to say. I mean, many of the products are intentionally marketed to, for their intoxicating effects. I think there is some gray area in how these products are marketed, where it's absolutely possible for a consumer to purchase one of these products and not realize that it has THC in it, or how much THC or some other intoxicating cannabinoid is in there. And you've definitely heard stories about unintentional intoxications from people who purchased a product at a convenience store and we're not expecting the results that they got.
Thank you. Yes.
And so that's why here in Oregon, we do have regulations to put guardrails around that intoxicating hemp market. In Oregon, the Oregon Department of Agriculture, ODA, is the primary regulator of hemp. They issue all of the hemp licenses. But also back in 2021, the legislature directed OLCC to put some guardrails around the intoxicating side of the market. So our rules address how much THC and other cannabinoids can be in hemp products for sale to consumers.
Well, but it seems as though if the ODA does not have the resources to test, the OLCC should have jurisdiction over that, but I don't know how that works.
Yeah. Moving on to age verification, I think this is a really important subject to hit. All marijuana retailers are required to check ID. Larry's ID was checked every single time he purchased from a marijuana retailer. I don't think anyone would, while he's youthful at heart, I don't think anyone would mistake him for under 21, but he still had his ID checked every single time. However, that was not the case with hemp retailers. I don't draw any large conclusions about an in-person purchase of hemp where they don't check Larry's ID. Thinking about in the alcohol world, something like that. However, online hemp, we also had a very low, what I would consider adequate ID checking. There were 13% of the websites we bought from, so only 6 of the 45 required a valid form of ID. That's like normally an upload of the photo of his ID. In some cases, I think a picture of you plus a photo of the ID. So trying to get around the idea of someone creating a fictitious form. Now, obviously, that's still pretty easily cheated. We could think about taking, a parent's ID or something like that, using it. ID, this was all delivered to a PO box, so no IDs were checked at the point of delivery, which is something we talked about in the alcohol world. So this is part of that concern of when you think about edibles being especially attractive to minors and children, having that concerning lack of ID checking is a huge concern that we have. And so this is my favorite part of this, where we wanted to do a little show and tell and bring up some of the packages we did buy.
Yeah, and so while Larry passes those out, one of the first things that we did once we obtained all the samples was we.
No consumption here while we're doing it.
Yeah, doesn't make you want to look at the inside of the container.
Thank you,
Try to give you the most fun.
Then we have a whole box of additional ones, if you guys want to look at them later. And so, yeah, one of the first things that we did was several of us got together and sat down and just looked over all of these hemp edible products that we purchased, making sure that we all put eyes on each product and evaluated them, across a number of different factors. And there's currently no clear standards for how a hemp item like this has to be packaged or labeled, but we used our marijuana packaging and labeling guidelines as sort of a baseline for what a well-regulated cannabinoid product would look like. And so when we evaluated these, we looked at things like whether there's child-resistant packaging and whether a consumer could reasonably understand what dose of what substance they're consuming if they were to consume one of these. The full details of that analysis are in our report. But specifically, when we looked at potency claims, 72% of these products that we purchased were prohibited for sale to Oregon consumers based solely on the claims on their label or on their website or on their associated test results if they provided those. Roger's team is working diligently to analyze all of these hemp edibles, and so we're looking forward to reviewing the full data on that and see how the test results compare to the label claims in the coming weeks. But yeah, just as a starting point, 72% of these, based on their own claims, should not have been sold to us here in Oregon.
So in regards to the child-resistant packaging, something that's required on marijuana edibles in Oregon, it's about a coin flip. So 54% of products had some form of child-resistant packaging. There clearly was a correlation between child-resistant packaging and higher potency products. So about a third of the lower potency products that we purchased had child-resistant packaging, while 73% of the prohibited products had child-resistant packaging, which definitely infers some knowledge that we know this is an intoxicating product, and some amount of manufacturers are trying to take some steps towards prohibiting or at least trying to create some barriers, but that kind of speaks to, so you know this is intoxicating. What are you doing to ensure you're not selling it to minors? We did cite some research done by OHA, some OHA staff and the Poison Control Center that came up. I believe this got published last year, that after we had increased potency limits just in our marijuana edibles back in 2022, there was a substantial increase in child poisonings. After that occurred, that was because of legislative action to increase edible potency. And so we created rules around that, but we did see a big spike in poison control calls because of children having these higher intoxicating items. And as you see, the items in front of you many of them are far exceed what we would ever allow in a marijuana edible. So marijuana edible can only have 100 milligrams of THC, Delta-9 THC. Some of the stuff you're seeing in front of you, Bragg's have 600 or even 1,000 milligrams of THC in them. So very, very concerning.
And we did also see a lot of issues with the way that dosage and serving size was expressed on these products. Sometimes it would just say how much full spectrum or broad spectrum hemp extract was in the edible without actually specifying how much THC or CBD or any other particular cannabinoid was in there. Other times they would list the amount of CBD or THC, but there was no indication of whether that's the total amount in the container or the amount in one serving from the container. And even when they had, an accurate or at least an understandable amount of THC or CBD per serving, sometimes there were multiple different conflicting serving sizes listed on different parts of the label. When there were third-party test results for a product, that complicated the issue even more. For one thing, it was really hard to find third-party test results for some of these products. A lot of them have a QR code on the label, but when you follow that QR code, it goes to a broken link or just to the homepage for the manufacturer. There were also some that would just go to a list, a page that had a list of 100 test results, and there was no clear way to tell which of those correlated to the product in hand. But even when there was a clear test result and a clear dosage on the label, which that was only 10% of products that had both of those things, there was still disagreement between those. The test results and the label would indicate different concentrations of THC or even sometimes different item weights between those two pieces of information.
So we're gonna change gears and talk about the pesticide testing. Before you is the failure rate of our marijuana batches. So every harvest batch of marijuana gets tested for a known panel of 59 pesticides, starting back in 2016, moving all the way to last year. And we pretty much leveled out at just around 1% failure rate, which is pretty good. And we wanted to investigate that a bit further because there have been high profile examples of pesticide contamination in other markets like our neighbor down south in California. There have been a number of news articles regarding concerns of an array of different pesticides, including concerns of some pesticides smuggled in from China and other locations. And so things that we aren't normally looking for. And so if everyone knows what the test is, the concern is, well, just use a pesticide that's not on the test. And so we wanted to go for a really large, broad array of pesticides. And I don't have a ton of data to share with you because we're still grinding through all of that. But so far, it looks pretty clean. Both the marijuana and the hemp we ordered have been pretty clean in their pesticides. We did find one of the samples of marijuana that we purchased actually had 10 times over the action level of one of the pesticides that is normally on our list. And so it had previously passed the batch as a whole. So could have been, several pounds got pulled. They pulled a little bit of it, ran a test. It runs clean. We purchased it off the shelf and discovered on December 23rd of this last year, actually the sample we purchased had over nearly 10 times the limit that we have established. So we were to immediately run a recall. While you don't want to see this happen, I think this is a tremendous success for the idea of the reference lab and the purpose it serves within our regulated market. And so I think this really is a great proof of concept of the kind of work that we can do with this and how it's such an incredible investigative tool. I'll tell you, organizing a recall on December 23rd is not a fun time, but luckily we were able to get it done. So now we're gonna change gears to potency test results. So those are that cannabinoid concentration. And we're first going to talk about the marijuana flower. And so this is a lot of bar chart here for you. So green is the third-party test result. So one of our licensed private labs, that's the result that when they tested it, they gave to the licensee and it puts on the label. The orange is what we found when we tested it with our reference laboratory. The big thing I want to help take away from this is when we tested it, on average, the third-party laboratory results were 13% higher relatively, with a standard deviation of about 19.4. Any of you really like standard deviation facts. In absolute percentage points, the average difference was around 2.4% to 4.1%, which we're going to explain is actually a tremendous financial difference for our licensees. But we're going to get to that. That's a little teaser for you.
So turning from the marijuana flower potency results to the hemp flower potency. On the hemp flower, before we even looked at the test results, just looking at the the potency claims on the label or on the website or on their third-party test results that they provide with it. Or, this is really critical because it gets to that basic question of, is this hemp or is this marijuana? And 4 of the samples that we purchased actually had information that it exceeded that 0.3% delta 9 THC limit. So based on their own claims, 4 out of the 51 samples were not hemp at all. Also, another, 78% of these should not have been sold to Oregon consumers. They were prohibited for sale to Oregon consumers based on exceeding our 0.3% total THC limit, which I'll talk about in a little bit, or because they contained artificially derived cannabinoids, which is basically semi-synthetic cannabinoids, where a manufacturer typically takes CBD extracted from hemp and then does some synthetic chemistry to turn that into a different substance, often an intoxicating substance, but people do also synthesize non-intoxicating cannabinoids. And again, this is just based on their label claims, so not a great starting point. But when we look at the data from the reference lab, the picture actually gets worse. So this shows the delta 9 THC concentration detected by the reference lab in all of the hemp samples. And that teal line at the bottom is the 0.3% limit that divides hemp from marijuana. So almost 3/4 of the hemp flower that we tested was above 0.3% delta 9 THC. So that 75% did not appear to be hemp, as defined under federal law. It appeared to be marijuana. Looking at the total THC, so the delta 9 THC is the primary intoxicating substance in cannabis, but the plant actually produces very little delta 9 THC directly. It mostly produces a precursor called THCA. And THCA, when it's heated up, it breaks down into delta 9 THC. So when someone smokes or vapes cannabis, all that THCA converts to delta 9 THC. So when you're looking at the total intoxicating potential of cannabis, that's what we're looking at, is that total THC. You add the delta 9 THC, and then you do a little math to add the THCA together to get that total intoxicating potential. And that's what Oregon uses for our thresholds for what can be sold to consumers in Oregon for hemp products. So when we tested, or when we got the results on the total THC in hemp flower, every single sample exceeded our 0.3% total THC limit. Every single one of these should not have been sold to Oregon consumers based on the results that we saw there.
Also emphasizing the tax difference here. One is taxed, one is not. So the advantage to saying you're one thing versus another.
And also, you can see on the left there, all of those tall lines, those represent cannabis that's basically indistinguishable from the marijuana on our store shelves. It's high potency cannabis. The manufacturers or distributors claim that it has less than 0.3% delta 9 THC. So the industry calls this THCA hemp, but our testing showed that actually all of those samples exceeded that 0.3% delta 9 limit. So none of it was actually hemp. It's all really comparable to adult use marijuana in potency. There's also a few more on the right, on the shorter ones. They exceeded our limit for sales to consumers, but at those really low levels, that's not a kind of intoxicating flower if you're just looking at total THC. But as I mentioned earlier, some of these also appear to be sprayed with synthetic, semi-synthetic cannabinoids. And so there are others that don't show up as intoxicating on this graph, because this is just looking at total THC, but they actually contain other intoxicating substances that have been synthesized from cannabis.
So next, we wanted to evaluate this claim that you have to score at least 20% THC to be sold in a marijuana retailer. So we want to looking at the marijuana we purchased. This is consistently, when I talk to laboratories that are, especially the ones going out of business, every time we lose one of our very, very few laboratories, I have a conversation with the lab directors and interview them, and they go, you know, I have so much pressure to produce a score of over 20%, or I'll lose that client right away. So the pressure is, don't give me the right result, give me the result that's over 20%. And I hear this from marijuana retailers, from growers, that they are in such fierce competition that I need to have this 20% THC, especially in the flower. And so we wanted to evaluate that claim to understand the kind of market pressure that's on the marijuana licensees. And so to do that, we looked at all of the sales of bud. So that's kind of the flower we categorize as what's being sold to consumers most often for smoking, especially in the small amounts. So we looked at under an ounce to avoid the bulk discounting that may kind of muddle the data a bit. So we looked at all sales under an ounce that happened last year. And this was difficult to pull because we're talking about millions of points of data that were sold. But as you can see here, about 98.8% of all sales happen at flower that's at least 15%. And flower from 20 to 40% that report total THC are 92.9% of sales. So if we think about that as shelf space, that's pretty remarkable evidence that would support the claim of, I need to get that 20% score if I'm likely to get sold in this state. And so this is a lot of support to what the industry has been reporting to us, that I really need this. And so another way we wanted to look at this is cost. What are these selling by the gram as the potency increases? If you were to imagine what that would look like for something like wine, you would probably imagine a graph if we go ABV on the bottom and price per ounce on the left. You would actually probably imagine straight lines, because we don't really think, oh, the higher the ABV, the more this bottle is going to go for. There's a lot of other variables that are going into setting the price of a bottle of wine that other than the ABV. It's a fact on the bottle, but beyond that, you're not going, oh, this one's 20%, so it's $100 bottle. That's just not kind of the logic that's at play in that market. Nor is it the logic that's at play when we look in the marijuana market at edibles, or as far as we've been looking at with vapes, we don't see it in the same strong way we see here. So on this, we found that there was a really tight correlation between total THC and the average price per gram. So looking at it, it makes basically a straight line up and to the right. And so we're looking at from 15% to that 40%, which is where that 98% of all sales are taking place. We really see, so if we average all of the sales for each increment of potency of THC, we find it pretty much goes straight up. And so that's where the difference between a lab result at 18% and a lab result at 22% can have a very clear dollar difference for a producer in our market. Which is unlike edibles or vapes or thinking about how other markets behave. And I think this is really incredible data. I don't know of any other state that's created and really evaluated it on this level. But I think it's really interesting, and it applies a lot of value to what our licensees have been reporting to us about where that pressure is coming from. So there's that R squared line over the top of that.
And so with those pressures in mind, we can turn back to the marijuana potency results from the reference lab and look at where the biggest discrepancies were, meaning the result from the reference lab and the third party result. So this is the graph that we showed earlier, comparing the reference lab results to the third party lab results. And you know, it's hard to see a clear trend. I mean, the third party results tend to be a bit higher, but other than that, it's kind of all over the place. But going back to that claim that you have to have at least 20% THC to get on the shelf, we can divide this into two sections based on the actual potency detected by the reference lab. And in that lower potency side, where the reference lab found that it had under 20% total THC, every single one had a third-party result that was higher and often significantly higher. Where on the higher potency side, we're looking above 20% total THC. The third-party results still trended a little bit higher, but there was a lot more variability. So that discrepancy between the results is a lot more significant on the low end, on the flower that, you know, may not test out above 20%, like the grower would like it to. We can also look at the same thing with the hemp flower, the THCA hemp flower that we purchased, to see whether it behaves the same as the marijuana flower within our market. Now, for these, we didn't have third-party lab results traceable in metric like we do for the marijuana market. So this is based on the alleged potency result, which is, you know, the concentration that they listed on the label or on the website or on a third-party test result that they provided. And again, looking at the whole big picture, it's hard to see any real trends. But when we split it out into the under 20 and over 20 buckets, we see basically the same thing. For the lower potency flower, the third-party results were always higher and usually by a pretty significant amount. And then when you look at the higher potency flower, above 20%, you know, that more or less averages out and just looks like natural variation. So you know, that could indicate that there's a similar pressure on the hemp side to get above 20% as sort of a minimum threshold for the market, but that there's less price pressure you know, as once you're above that 20% mark. So we don't want to spend too much time on it, but and the full details are in the report, which I definitely recommend checking out if you're interested. But we did want to address one possible counter argument to what we were just seeing there, and that's that, you know, maybe the lower potency results have a bigger discrepancy because that's old flower where the THC has degraded a lot more over time. So we looked at that, and it's not the case. You know, there's no real correlation between the change in potency and the amount of time between the original test result and our new test result from the reference lab. Even when you split it out and look at the under 20% and over 20% population separately, the average time from the first test to the second test is about the same, and neither one has any correlation with that amount of time between the tests. Any effect that time has there was just drowned out by other factors, which is interesting because we can turn and look at decarboxylation over time. So that conversion from THCA to THC over time. And we do see that the results are more or less what we would expect, that there is more degradation over time. There is you know, a sort of linear relationship there. It's a little noisy because it depends on the exact storage conditions that any particular bit of flower was kept in. But we do see times behaving as expected on this measure, which makes it interesting that it was not when looking at the total change in potency.
So wrapping up, and thank you again for your attention on all of this. I just kind of want to drive home the key findings that we found in this report. We discovered a batch of marijuana was sold to consumers with nearly 10 times the limit of pesticide. And we were able to immediately recall it, work with the licensee on that. We have found about 50 putative or possible pesticide detections, but so far they're turning out to be pretty clean. But we are working on quantifying that. And that data will be in the final report, which we're hoping to have done in the next couple weeks. The vast majority of hemp products were sold without appropriate age verification. Most hemp samples, flowers, and edible were prohibited for sale just based off of their claims. So without our testing, just based off their claims, it was unlawful to sell that to us, and we were still able to purchase it and have it delivered. All hemp flower samples exceeded the 0.3% total THC, which is Oregon's limit. And most of the hemp flower samples of 74.5% appeared to be marijuana under federal law. That's assuming the federal definition has that big loophole. What's next? So there's obviously more work to be done. Hemp edible potency testing analysis should be completed really soon in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll be able to kind of evaluate that. That's where a lot of the synthetic cannabinoids appear to be present, and so we're interested in evaluating those label claims. As Rich mentioned, House Bill 4121 expanded the OLCC's authority to create a hemp product registry, which is you're going to have that rule drafting process in front of you in the next couple months. So this is good background for why the need for the having to register a hemp product in Oregon and having some basic rules to follow. They won't be identical, but we're really trying to replicate a lot of the marijuana rules there. And then the reference lab is absolutely doing what we were hoping it would do, and is bringing in online new equipment. And we're hoping to start exploring vapes and heavy metals and other issues that have been a big concern in the past. And so that's where we're looking to move forward to in the future.
And so overall, where does this leave us? I mean, we would like to believe that businesses will be responsible operators, that they won't sell intoxicating products to minors, that they won't sell extreme intoxicating products untaxed outside of what Oregon allows, that they won't sell synthetic cannabinoids without disclosing that to consumers, that they won't import marijuana into the state and call it hemp. But the reality is that this operation, both in terms of the types of products that we were able to purchase and the test results on those products, shows that there is a real problem. Oregon has really top-notch hemp regulations. Most of all of the really concerning products were prohibited for sale under our regulations, but what we're seeing is that there's significant non-compliance. And so there's a lot of different next steps that we can take. Different options that we want to explore further with this data. But we also need to consider the resources that are available for that work. ODA has a handful of staff tasked with regulating all of their licensed growers, processors, and retailers. OLCC has David, Larry, and myself. So we'll continue to work with agency leadership on scoping out additional work that we can do with the reference lab and with the prohibited market of intoxicating hemp products. But we also do need to bear in mind the resource constraints as we approach that work. Thank you all so much for your time, Commissioner Doherty, commissioners, and we're happy to answer any questions that you all have.
Hey, Chair.
Commissioner?
So Director Brennan, is that your jurisdiction to hire more help?
Chair Doherty, Commissioner John Porter, it's my position to advocate for that, and we did that in 2024. So when Stephen and David and Rich mentioned House Bill 4121, it came with positions. So we will have more positions coming online in 2026. So we got that done in February 2024. And then I'll be looking to hear from staff what to think about strategically moving forward to 2027, 2029. So we've got to start with HB 4121. And so I just thank this panel and you all for keeping attention. It's a lot, right? It's a lot of depth, but this is a really good base to see the problem. And it's a good base to, as you said, to advocate from my seat.
We just have to stay overworked until 2022.
How many hemp producers do you think there are in the state? Just
Chair Doherty, Commissioner Flynn, I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head. It has dropped off precipitously since 2019. The hemp program, after hemp was legalized federally in 2014, it kind of grew steadily after the 2018 Farm Bill fully legalized hemp at the federal level. There was a explosion, a huge number, thousands of licensed growers, and not enough market to purchase all of the hemp that they were growing. So there's been a year-over-year decrease since that peak in 2019. And I think we're now down to somewhere in the neighborhood of 160, 170 hemp growers licensed by the Department of Agriculture.
And can they sell across state lines? Unlike
Yes.
Maryland? Okay. Thank you.
Sure. A couple of questions. What's the size, if you know, of the hemp market in the United States?
It's in the billions. We do address that in the report, and I cite one analytical research firm. I want to say like 3 or 4 billion was one estimate just on Delta 8 THC products, which is one of the synthetic cannabinoids you can create from CBD that bind to the same receptors in your head as Delta 9. But as we know with laws, if you don't write the law naming the exact compound and you miss another compound, well, hey, now I can sell this thing. And so that's what's at play there. And so I think it's difficult to know the full scope, but I think it greatly dwarfs the marijuana market.
That's what I understood, that it was significantly larger than marijuana and unregulated. What are the other states doing? Are we stronger or tougher on it than other states? And how's that?
Yes, Chair Doherty, we are kind of at the leading edge of thoughtful hemp regulation to really put guardrails around the intoxicating hemp products. I co-chaired the Cannabinoid Hemp Committee for Canada, and so I'm in regular contact with other states as they're approaching these problems. And a lot of times they're asking for insight into where we've been because they're trying to get to where we are. There are a handful of states that have set different limits around these intoxicating products. There are some states that have more or less created a regulatory structure that allows these intoxicating products, especially in some of the southern, southeastern states that don't have legal adult use cannabis programs. Some of them have decided to embrace the synthetic hemp intoxicants. So there's a legal pathway for Delta 8 THC synthesized from hemp, but there's no legal pathway for just growing cannabis for THC.
Oh. Any other questions? I want to thank you. This is an incredible report, and I know this took a tremendous amount of effort, and it's I find it very valuable. So thank you all for the hard work you put into this. It's again, so appreciated, and I'll be looking this over.
Yeah,
Great
thank you.
information.
Chair Doherty. Commissioner Young Porter served me up a softball, so I want to respond to that. Yes, you did. The policy, we put forward policy option packages and we get those in front of the legislature. So policy option package 105 is what I mentioned that will bring more resources to this issue. It will also establish a hemp registration. And so that package is 7 positions to support this hemp work and $1.7 million in total to pay those new staff, get them vehicles. So Larry's got a car to drive around as he's purchasing this. And so I just wanted to make sure the commission knew we do have that good start for this biennium.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all very much. Much appreciated. Okay. Go ahead and take it back now.
Oh.
Thank you. Make sure you get it all. I think somebody's pocketing this.
Somebody that, I have pictures of all of it. It's not good.
Thank you. Okay. Dave, you want to give us a legislative update? Or-
I will. Rose is not able to be with us, so she asked me to do a
Joe, hold on just 1 second. Can you guys step out? Step outside, please. Thank you. All right.
Thank you. As I was saying, Rosie was not able to be here today. She asked me to do the legislative session update. What I can say is it's deadline time down in the Capitol. It means they're working which bills are gonna make it through by a deadline. I wanted to report out on the three bills that Rosie reported on that are our OLCC bills. The first one is 869, which impacts the bottle bill. And it's all about that our piece was giving time limitations of when small stores take bottles. That concept, we've been working with another bill, Senate Bill 992, with some of our partners. That's a more comprehensive revision of the bottle bill. And so I want to thank Senator Solomon and the governor's office for allowing us to work on this overarching concept about updating the bottle bill. And I'm sure Rosie or I will have more information in April on that one. We've got the Senate Bill 870, which exempts cannabis worker address and phone number from public records. That's a protective concept so that because they're working in what's a federally illegal industry, staff brought that forward and we got that in, and that one is through the Senate. So it's on track and through the Senate. And then Senate Bill 871 is the one that we have a concept to deal with a federal Commerce Clause issue. Commissioner Floyd asked me about this one, 871. So we're working, that one's gone through the Senate. Greg is here from Orla. We're working with Orla's lobbyist, Bill Perry. We have one little piece of language we want to make sure that we get right. That's very common during this time. Your partners say, hey, what did you mean here? And is this right? And so we're going to work with Bill Perry and Orla to get that language typed up just right. And so those are our three bills. And I wanted to thank Orla. So thank you, Greg. I wanted to thank Chow, who Rosie and Rich Evans and Amanda have been working with a lot of different bills. And I wanted to thank Also, because we've been working with Also on some of their bills for the liquor agents. And you know, it's the first day of spring. And that means there's a lot of activity down there. So we'll get a report next month of kind of like what's made it through, where things are, and get you updated.
Thank you.
Spring seems to be hiding itself.
That's what they said on the radio today.
It's the spring.
I was saying that in hope that the weather will be, what was the word, compliant.
We saw. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Now, can we get is Lisa Bertram on here? Love to get a construction update.
Yes, hello. Thank you, Chair Doherty. For the record, my name is Lisa Bertram, giving you guys a construction update today. I have kind of more interesting stuff to show. So I'm getting my PowerPoint up here. So construction, you know, we are working hard on construction as far as getting through the project. Last time I kind of let you know, we do have an address. So I wanted to kind of start with the project itself and then get into some of the renderings and things we have today. So the project itself is called Project Meadowlark. It's the Oregon State Bird, the Western Meadowlark. It's being updated on the internal OLCC intranet site, which is called the Hub. So we are keeping our OLCC friends abreast of what's happening, putting things out there. We'll also start updating the OLCC website with some current updates on the project. We are kind of in the build phase of this project now. It's a 347,000 square foot facility. I'm going to show you some pictures today of the inside of that. What's it going to look like? Really base renderings, but essentially, you know, there's patio, there's break rooms, meeting rooms, there's spaces for everything that we need to do at the Candy facility. So we're taking our headquarters and turning that into Portland, and then everybody else will go down to Canby. So Distilled Spirits will be in Canby. We have spaces for everyone, and I'll show you that as we walk through. This is the site itself. So in Canby on Walnut Street, to the north of this picture is Columbia Distributing. So we're going to be right across the street. This red box is the property and the land that we purchased. You can see there's an old orchard in this land. There's also a cutout in the middle on the top, which is the Zoar Lutheran Cemetery. We do not own the cemetery. That's still owned by the Zoar Lutheran Church in the city of Canby. And what we're going to do is put a 25-foot easement around that cemetery, so we're not interacting with the cemetery at all. But we will be good neighbors. We're putting up a big fence kind of around it. And so you'll see as we go through the plan where that integrates. But we just to reiterate, we do not own the cemetery, but we are going to be good partners with that. This is what the actual site is going to look like, kind of if you take that and put it on top of that last plan. So up to the north, again, here's that cemetery that has the easement around it. This big blue box is the actual building itself. So this will house the distribution center, all the offices, all that good stuff. This up in the upper right is the public parking. So there's a couple different ways to get in this facility. We'll have 3 entryways. This will be the public parking. There's also 2 kind of internal parking. So we have a little parking space for facility maintenance. And then in the back, we have parking for people coming to do will calls, suppliers, LCC staff that may be working back there. And then we also have a truck lot parking. So if we do have trucks that are waiting to unload or load up, they can have parking in the back to stay off the street. This little area of the upper right here next to the box is going to be that enclosed patio. So just kind of a nice place for people working at the facility to go outside if it's nice on this beautiful day. There are going to be 2 entry points to the actual truck yard in the back. So there's one point to the left here. That's going to be a guard shack. So there will be a person there. And then most of the truck traffic will come in that direction. That'll be for essentially any truck traffic that needs to get to the back of the site. And then the one on the right-hand side is just another gate that we can use for traffic to get to the back. Can be used for roll call, incoming, inbound loads, things like that. This area to the left of the building is an open field right now. The purpose of this building is to last a very long time. And so we're going to make it modular, sort of, in the fact that we can, we build the building itself, we're going to have punch outs on this side of the building. So in the future, 30, 40, 50 years down the line, if we need to make this building bigger, we have this space of land that we can do that. And then the interior of the building will have punch outs so that we can make this space connected to the building in the future state, right? Not day one, but we do have the capability to make this building bigger. The left-hand green section, that's also part of our property. We're not doing anything with that right now. We're going to use that. Right now, we're putting fill dirt over there. That can be used in the future. It can be leased out. There's lots of different options. So we do have a chunk of space on our property that we will not be using day one. This is a rendering from LRS, our architect, on what the building could potentially look like. This is a great little picture of the building. In this picture, that cemetery is going to be far to the right, kind of in that big green space. You can really see that the most of the activity in the building is going to be in that public front parking lot, or it's going to be around the back. So, and this road here in the front again is for the interior of the building. These are some high-level designs that we have so far. We're still working on these, so these are drafts really at this point, but wanted to give you an idea of all the different spaces that we have. This is going to be the front office space. We have an HR area, so we will have HR on staff for our employees, anyone in the warehouse or anyone in the office that needs HR. We'll also have a small IT area. We will have a lot of different IT needs at this building. We'll have our material handling system, which has a conveyor system that has a lot of IT needs. So we will have some IT on site. Next to that is some offices for administrative staff. This point in the middle, this is the entryway to the building. We're working on having a essentially an employee-free entryway. So it'd be contactless. You can come in and interact with an intercom system or call system. So people coming into the building don't need someone there to unlock the door for them. They'll have an intercom system to call somebody to come get them. Expectations of people in the building. So we'll have a method for that. And then the right-hand side of this drawing is really where, you know, most of the warehouse staff is going to be populating. We have this big training room and seating room. So this is the break room. It's also a training room. There's a expandable wall that goes in between these, so we can actually open this up to be one giant room. Right now, you know, it's really 2 rooms separate, but we can make them bigger if we want to do large meetings or trainings for all of the warehouse staff. We have the facility to do that. To the left of that is a conference room that can be used by any staff in the building. And then this down here, like lockers, lunchroom, all of that good stuff for people. To the right of this, then you can see that outside patio. We'll have access to LCC employees that are in this space that can just go right out to the patio. It is enclosed, so it's a secure area. This again is kind of what that looks like from the front. So front entrance, just another rendering from LRS. You can see this is what it looks like from a front, and then you can see that patio area a little up on the left. As I get more renderings from them as we make decisions, I'll keep updating for y'all. Another one, this is the doc office. It's going to be on the back side of the building. So that admin office is going to be on the front side. Doc office will be on the back where that incoming and outbound traffic is. The doc office has some key features too. Label room. This is where all of our printing is going to happen. It's an enclosed room, so it's going to stay out of the dust and dirt of the warehouse. We have some internal offices for staff. Both this area and the admin area also have an open space in the middle for drop-in staff, remote staff that are coming to the office for the day, people that are just coming in to work to have those capabilities. Part of the stock office is a freight lounge. So this is an area where if you're a carrier, a driver, you need to do an inbound load or even an outbound load, right? Mostly inbound load. You'd come to this trucker area, entry into this space, and then this space is actually secured close to the warehouse. Can't leave this space without a card or without some access from an OLC staff member. So it's a secure area for truckers to wait for unload typically. They're also able to give their paperwork through like a pass-through window to give it to the OLCC receiving staff to receive trucks. And then the driver can just literally hang out in this area until their truck is done and go on their merry way. So it's a secure area to keep the truck drivers or carriers out of the warehouse, but also gives us the ability to interact with them in a secure way. That's kind of the basis of the construction right now. We are, like I said, we are moving forward with a lot of different design features at this time. As those come online, I'll keep you abreast of those. One of the big things that we're working on now is this material handling system. So really there's a flow to this that is dependent on some things with the building. So right now we're just determining the final layout. So the space and volume, how much volume do we need to get through the system? How much space does that take up? You know, where does the conveyor go? Those kinds of things. Once we know that, we can finalize our outbound doors. So those are going to be the doors that actually feed the liquor down the conveyor to the doors to be loaded on by the carriers to go outbound stores. Once we know that, right, that's part of the design as well. Then we'll review the budget based on those build estimates. So we'll say, you know, this is what we want. This is the build estimate. This is what we can do. And then that will then lead us into decisions about conveyor types and, you know, more very detailed options. Once we have all that figured out, we then need to move forward with the design and the building specifics. So LRS, our architect, is going to work with our material handling vendor to ensure that that conveyor system fits in a specific space and works with the entire build. We're kind of in that phase right now where we kind of know where it's going to go. We kind of know what it's going to do. Now it's really just getting the details of how does that all work together. A bit complex. I should have more updates on that for you all next meeting as we get some of those things.
Thank you.
Yep. Next thing is a big thing that's happening now is site mobilization. What does this mean? So J.E. Dunn is our contractor. They are on site in Canby. So if you happen to drive by the site today, you'll see a lot of action going on. They've cleared and leveled the site, put in erosion control. They're starting to put up construction barriers, fencing, normal construction stuff. Also, signage and equipment is starting to land on site. And then we're also going to have materials start on site, so deliveries to the site. So far, so good. Things are going great out there. We get kind of regular pictures from our contractor on what it looks like. So again, it's a pretty much a flat area now. But again, people are mobilizing on site. This upper right picture is just a picture of the cemetery as it is today. It has a little white picket fence around it. Like I said, we'll be putting in a larger fence around that easement to ensure that, you know, OLCC stays away from that cemetery. But again, the picture bottom right is a good one. It shows kind of their temporary parking area that they've put in there. Also their JE Done sign. So exciting things are happening on site, which I'm very excited for. And then current schedule, construction is set to begin March 31st. What does that mean? It's really just a lot of digging, right? They're going to have to dig, essentially move a lot of earth, do some digging. And then the actual construction will start closer to the end of April, right? So they have to get the site ready. We have these kind of long-term things that we've put in, and that's why I say it's the current schedule. So by June of 2026, material handling should be complete. By the end of June, we should have substantial completion of the building. And what that means is it's all built, but we have to kind of test everything, make sure everything works. So that's going to happen in June, and then we'll be testing and plugging things in, making sure things are working. July is when we're kind of hoping to put in our new warehouse management system that Christy Scott's team is working on, the DSSC, you'll hear it, Distilled Spirit Supply Chain. That's going to hit this as well. So we're integrating that to our current warehouse. And then once we have substantial completion, we'll start integrating it into the new warehouse. So that our new warehouse will have a new system, new conveyor. That'll happen hopefully in July. And then August, that's our full completion. So fully operational, starting to go on board. You know, there's a lot that has to go into that as well. But as for right now, we are still on schedule, which I think is important to know. And we are still moving forward. With that, I just wanted to put this back up again because I think it's a great picture of the new warehouse. I'm proud of all the work that people have done. This takes a lot of work from a lot of different folks. So, you know, Administrative Services Division has been great. Procurement's been great. Just takes a lot of people to get this going. And so I just want to thank the OLC staff that have helped. And I'll take any questions.
Commissioners. Kristen? Yes.
I just wanted to thank one person who is overseeing and leading this and coordinating that. That's Tara Waziak. She set up a structure, build, move, modernize, keep it rolling. Without Tara and that structure, we would be a soup. And Tara, thank you for that. And I also want to thank our partner, our neighbor, Columbia, where that semi truck is called Walnut Street. So I want to thank Stephen Gibbs because, you know, have you ever had a construction site by your house? It's disruptive. And so I want to thank Stephen too, because we're kind of in the muddy phase right now. And so I want to thank Columbia and Stephen as well as Tara.
Yeah, thank you, Tara. Very good. Excellent, President. I want to have one of these pictures maybe put up someplace.
Yeah,
We can see it. When we...
Yeah. I like the sunny picture. I went by Tuesday and it's muddy, not sunny. So
exactly.
We'll keep going.
All right. Lisa, thank you very much. That was excellent. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now we have retail services matters. Brian. How are you?
Nice seeing you.
Nice to see you.
Morning, Chair Doherty, Commissioners, Executive Friends. For the record, I'm Brian Aker, District Manager, Interim Retail Services Director. And today we have 4 store appointments for your consideration. And the first 2 are going to be virtual, temporary to permanent. And then the other 2 will be 4 candidates and 2 candidates. So with that, we would bring up store appointment for 1168 Prospect, Megan Summers.
I see her on the call and let me just do something different here. Megan, can you turn on your mic and share your camera?
Can you see me?
Well, we can hear you. I've got it on presentation mode, so.
Good morning.
Okay. Good morning. My name is
Good morning.
Megan.
Megan, let me stop you for just a second. This is Commissioner Floyd. We're going to give you 7 minutes for your presentation. If we at all need to stop you and ask any questions, I'll make sure to press the pause button. And I'll give you a 30-second warning, or heads up rather, when your 7 minutes is up. That sound fair?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Welcome to our presentation about the Prospect Store and family-owned business at the heart of our community. As owners for nearly 3 years, we are excited to apply for this OLCC liquor agency. In this presentation, we will highlight our deep community roots, the store strategic location near Crater Lake National Park, our current operations, and our plans for improvement that we will enhance our service to both local and tourists alike. We've owned the Prospect Store for almost 3 years. I've taken it over from my parents who ran it for 13 years. My husband was born and raised here while I've been part of this community for over 20 years, managing the store before our ownership. The store is a family operation with my son helping out at the gas station. We've maintained its position as the heart of Prospect, continuing the legacy while implementing improvements. As locals who love camping, hunting, and fishing in the Prospect area, we understand the needs of both in the community and the outdoor who visit our region. For the past decade, we've organized a Christmas gift tree program that brings the community together to support local children. This beloved tradition culminates on Christmas Eve when children visit Santa and receive their presents. Our store serves as more than just a retail location. It's a gathering place that helps maintain the tight-knit nature of our rural community. We take pride in keeping these connections. We've committed to keeping our community together through both everyday operation and special events that strengthen local bonds and support those in need. We are located just 33 miles from Crater Lake National Park. Our store is perfectly positioned to serve the steady stream of tourists visiting this natural wonder throughout the years. Beautiful waterfalls surround us, some as close as a half a mile from our store, making us an ideal stop for visitors exploring the natural beauty of the area. We serve hunters and fishermen who return annually to enjoy Prospect's outdoor offerings, building lasting relationships with these regular visitors. Our upgrades, we're planning to fix our back wall electrical system and add an automatic generator. This is crucial as power outages are frequent in our remote location, especially during the fire seasons and the severe weather events. We currently operate what may be the oldest gas pumps in Jackson County. Finding replacement parts has become increasingly difficult, putting us at risk of service interruptions. Our plan includes installing modern pumps with card readers, allowing customers to purchase fuel even when the store is closed, a significant convenience for our remote community. The upgrade will include the new awning to protect both the pumps and our customers from elements, enhancing the overall customer experience. We recently installed a new roof and have plans to paint the building exterior, enhancing both appearance and structural integrity for years to come. We're replacing the cabinets under the fountain machine and coffee station with stainless steel tables that will be more sturdy, cleaner in appearance, and easier to maintain. And we just recently got this done on Monday. Our backstock for liquor is securely locked and located right by our office, ensuring proper inventory control and security for these high-value products. When we redesigned our counters area, we created more space to show our liquor collection, improving visibility and accessibility for customers while maintaining security. Our counter setup allows for proper ID verification and controls sales of liquor products, ensuring compliance with the OLCC regulations while providing excellent customer service. We are looking forward to working with all of you and to keep upgrading what we can each year. We love our community and will continue to do everything we can to make it better. Thank you.
Questions,
Ms.
Commissioners? So tell me, you have a convenience store there? Oh, there's your picture. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Nice.
So you have a convenience store there,
Yes.
but it's not for sale. That's not.
No.
Part of it. Is that operated by somebody else or?
No, we own it. We don't own the building, but we own everything in it. My dad still owns the building.
Okay, okay. So you operate the liquor store and the convenience store as well?
Yes.
Oh, I
Mhm.
got you. So thank you. Very much. Appreciate your presentation. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want to take a motion on this one or?
Well, we can do it at the end.
Okay.
Let's wrap them all up.
So number 2 is 1211 Charleston, and Brandon Farmer is the temporary agent. And he's been operating the store since July of 2024.
Mr. Farmer, are you with us?
Do you see him, Laura?
I did, and I made him a presenter, but now I don't, so. Okay, I do see him. Okay, there he is. I can see him on my laptop.
We have to
There
unmute.
we
There
go.
he is. Hello, Mr. Farmer. Did you hear the spiel about the 7 minutes on presentation time?
Let's make sure we can hear him. It looks like he's muted. Might be the connection. Sometimes if you turn your camera off, you might have a better connection, and just see if you can unmute that way and turn your camera off. I see he's unmuted, but I don't think we can hear him.
Did he test his microphone earlier?
No.
Can he call him?
He can. I just will need to know the phone number that he's calling from, so I have if you want to go through other stores, and then you can bring me a phone number so I can recognize and give.
Yeah, let's do that. We can do that.
Okay.
Back to Tri-State.
So moving on to store number 3, this is 1016 Dallas. This is a interesting situation with this store. The opening is because of the death of Agent Tim Grimes.
Yep.
He'd been with the commission since, as an agent since 2007. Passed away last year. And in the course of the temporary agent running the store, we had a arsonist break in, complete destruction of the store. And finally got it to a point where we could advertise at this point for a new location. There's some good possibilities for that store for the community. And with that, we'll bring up our first candidate, Amrit Singh.
Okay. Thank you. Brian, so the store is closed right now?
Yeah.
All right.
It's been closed since August.
And we had a temporary
Correct.
operator in there?
Correct.
Okay, and that's one of the applicants.
No, they did not apply.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
That's.
good to know. Okay.
Thank you.
Amrit, you are not the temporary agent. No. Currently.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Great.
David Moore on the list is the stepson of the temporary agent,
Okay,
or is the son of the temporary agent, stepson of Tim.
okay. Now I'm more confused.
Now I'm not.
All right, welcome, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Amrit Singh. I am the Director of Operations for Center Market. We currently own and manage 22 locations across the state of Oregon, all with off-premise liquor licenses with the OLCC. I manage day-to-day business for all locations with retail management experience, cash experience, inventory audits, implementing strategies for business growth, and then implementing marketing business growth strategies. We have been proud members of the Dallas community since 2001, proudly serving that community with 3 stores, with a lot of community involvement with hosting Thanksgiving fundraisers, participating in community programs, local events, school programs, school activities, athletics. This mission statement isn't just words. It's what drives our decisions, our customer interactions, the way we run our business every day. We are committed to upholding these values and to better serve our community. So here is an aerial view of the proposed location. It is a wonderful corner lot. Off Washington Street and Church Street. Here is the street view of the location. Currently, the building is 1,700 square feet, but I do have permits. I should have permits in hand beginning of next week to expand the building out to 3,500 square feet, which would be exclusively used for this proposed liquor store. With that, for upgrades, we would include removing the canopy from the front of the building, building a storefront on the Washington Street side, as well as on the other side to make sure we have high visibility for our customers. We would include a very modern new earth tone color for stone all around the building, as well as nice canopy lights with big street signs as well as big building signs. Here is just to show where the old location was versus the new location. It is roughly about a mile, 1.2 miles from the previous location in the. As I said, this building is going to be roughly around 3,500 square feet. We'll be allocating roughly 2,800 square feet to liquor and liquor-related items, including mixers, drinks, ice, whole shebang, as well as cigars, tobacco products, lottery, and then we'll use the remaining 700 square feet for backstop. here's a proposed floor plan for this new store. And within the improvements, we would be bringing in walk-in coolers, beer caves to keep beer, wine, as well as champagne, and have a wide selection of that as well as energy drinks, sodas, anything that somebody who is consuming spirits would need. Go to the next one, please. Next one, please.
Okay.
So we are trying to create a very modern new space. We are planning to have a dark color scheme inside, very well lit with nice gondola shelving fixtures to allow for us to maximize our space as to display our spirits as well as our mixers. Have areas dedicated for to displays, special displays, whether it's seasonal displays or any displays just to highlight new products that come into the store. A little bit about inventory control. We'll do 4 feet shelves. Registers are close to the doors with multiple many security cameras watching the building to make sure that there is no theft happening, whether it's employee theft or customer theft. Conducting our own personal audits to making sure that inventory is being maintained and there's no spoilage, there's no theft, as well as no break-ins or anything like that. Next. We proud ourselves on the customer experience with the 3 stores in Dallas. We are there to serve as serve convenience to all of our community members, to provide everything that they need, so it's a one-stop shop for everyone. We will have very knowledgeable staff who knows what the product that we're selling, so that way if somebody does come in, we are able to answer questions about origins, product, how it's made, just about local brands as well. So being with that, we do provide we do secret shoppers just to make sure that our employees are following and checking for theft, as well as checking OLCC compliance with checking IDs and making sure we're not selling to any minors. Alongside that, we do host workshops to make sure that our employees are reminded or have gotten refreshers on what the OLCC regulations are. So we are making sure that those items, are constantly refreshed into their minds. It's not something that's not a mistake we do make. And then with marketing, it's a very high visible location. So we would like to have a lot of signage just to showcase where we are, where our location is, to attract the 21+ consumer, utilize social media as much as we can to target those individuals.
30 seconds, Mr. Singh.
Rough startup cost is what we're expecting. Rough monthly expenses is what we're looking at here. And rough financials, showing that, the previous liquor store did roughly 3.2 million. We're assuming that we're gonna try to do half.
Go ahead, closing our statement.
But thank you so much for your consideration. Really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, stay here. You're not the.
Commissioners? Questions?
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Your presentation deck looks very beautiful.
Thank you.
I like the sign, all the modern, what you got going on with the shelving. What do you anticipate? What's the cost, do you think, for all that?
I'm thinking probably around 200 to 250 on top of the license buyout. So roughly 350 to 400 for everything.
that's what you are willing to invest in this.
I'm willing to invest more, but that's kind of from what our projections are, that's kind of what we're expecting to pay.
Okay. Okay. And you would just be leasing that spot, on, was it Southwest Washington Street?
My
Are
mom
you
owns it.
purchasing that?
My
Oh,
mom
okay.
owns it, so just.
Gotcha. Okay.
Good.
Okay. Thank you.
She a good landlord?
She is a good landlord.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Okay, up next, we have Amritpal Singh, representative of Babadeep Singh Inc. Well,
Any relation here?
No, just thanks.
Yeah.
That's-
7 minutes to start whenever you're ready.
All right. Good morning, all the members of OLCC and Chair Dennis. Thanks for giving us the opportunity today to present our store for store 1016. First, I'll give you introduction myself. My name is Amritpal Singh, and I'm the president of Babadeep Singh Inc. 12, 7-star liquor and beer outlet. Thanks to your summary. And this slide basically tells about the ownership of the business. We are two partners, me as the president and my brother-in-law, Prithpal Singh, as secretary of the company. We both have almost about 18-year experience in the retail industry. Own and operate a liquor store in Amity, Oregon, 1039. 7-star liquor will be operated by a team of 10 members that will include 4 cashiers, two stocking people, 1 manager, 1 assistant manager, and both owners. Together, we can provide a world-class liquor buying experience for every customer who walks through the doors of 7-star liquor and beer outlet. Next slide. This is the information about the location. Our location is 170 West Annandale Avenue, Suite 104 and 105 in Dallas, Oregon. It is going to be a 4,000 square feet store. We will keep our door open for customers 7 days a week, Monday to Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Next slide, please. Next is liquor, beer, and outlet goals. Our goal is to run a profitable business and consistent increase for next 5 years. Attract a loyal and consistent customer base, provide a quality product along with knowledgeable staff to give a top-notch service to our customers and become a number one location in Oregon. Next slide. And liquor, beer, and wine selections described along with the liquor. We also going to carry beer, wine, soda, tobacco, chips, and other product that going with the liquor to make a convenient place for all the customers who will come to purchase liquor to our stores. Next slide, please. Plans on this one, most important part to run a liquor store is to control not to sell any liquor, beer, or wine product under the age of 21. To combat this, the business will take all the precautions to prevent product from getting into the hands of underage people, such as purchase and utilize current ID scanners, train staff on how to recognize fake IDs. Not every purchase made in the store, no matter of age of customers. The second thing is to reduce opportunities for the theft is also a major priority for 7-star liquor and beer outlet. And to combat that, we are going to implement 32-channel NVR system cameras throughout all the aisles, both the front and rear entrance of the store, with ability to clerk to view them while behind the desk while they're working. Install a face recognition with NVR system. Install text formatting pricing view through POS system. High-end security system to prevent robbery while store is closed. Install metal shutters behind all the windows and doors to secure the building after closing hours. High-end liquor will be stored behind the counters, so only clerks have access to that. Next slide, please. Like with the liquor, we're gonna keep our competitive beer and tobacco pricing, keep our staff fully knowledgeable about the product that are selling in the store, compliance with government regulations, attractive product presentation, host exclusive event and testing. Next, population. Dallas has almost about approximately 17,214 total population. Out of that, 9,081 is male and 8,133 are females. Next, please. Next. The signage. We will have an outdoor signage on the main complex signboard. We will put some feather flags and yard signs. Next is marketing plans. We will do some on-site marketing that will include install displays to products such as storefront displays, checkout displays, freestanding displays received from liquor manufacturers, word of mouth signage, and road frontage signage. Online, we will do Facebook, Instagram, Twitter page, print ads, online local listing extras. Next one, please.
Okay.
Next. Next. Our startup expense. We are going to spend about approximately 400,000 at first year because that can include all our startup costs plus the buyout to the current agent. It's gonna include all the supplies, permits, interior designing, licenses, and all the operating costs. Next. This is a financial projection for first year. We have more expense because of all the startup costs and the buyout. And it will go down because after all the payout first year. Next, please. This is our 5-year sale breakdown. You will see we have consistent increase of sale year to year because of all the hard work we are going to done in the store and all the remodeling and make it fresh. Next one, please. Conclusion, the company management is confident that Seven Star Liquor can achieve its aggressive sales forecast and total sales approximately from 3.6 million, what is doing right now, to all the way up to 5.2 million next 5 years. This is our projection, and provide Dallas community a neat and clean friendly store for their day-to-day liquor needs. Next one, please. This is the floor plan. As you can see, all the wall, we're gonna put all the high-end 72-inch high shelving. So all the, like whiskey, vodka, those have more flavors and more product. So we can put it all around the store. In the middle, we're gonna keep only 52-inch high shelves so we can see through it, and all the other items go in the middle. And all around the store, you can see we're gonna put all the displays. So that's gonna help us, especially in the season, like Christmas season, all that. So we can display all the shelvings. So display so people can see what's new in the store. We will have a special testing counter on the corner. So we're gonna try to do testings every week if it's possible. Will depend on the availability of vendors. And then we will have a humidor. We will have a 20-door cooler with the beer, soda, and all of that. In the back, you will see we can have a special area for the bar owner. So this way, all the bar owners or licensee who comes to purchase, they don't have to wait. Their order will be relocated separately and everything will be done. And we don't want to mix all those with our regular store and the other stuff. That's why we can keep it separate. And we can have a big stocking on the side where we can do all the back stock.
36.
Next slide, please. This is the side, east side location. You can see how it's gonna look. Next one. This is the north side. Next. South side of the store. West side. This is the interior rendering. It's gonna be, that's how it's gonna look like once all the construction and remodeling will be done from inside, on the roof, painting, and all the other stuff. Next one, please. These are the signs. Next. This is the front sign. From the landlord.
Closing statements.
This is all the items that we're thinking we're gonna bring to the store. This is the store right now. Thank you for the.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners?
One question.
Yes.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for your time. The store operating hours, how much business do you do from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.? Just curious.
Sure. So basically, we are trying to put a non-expiry store, not only liquor, we're gonna have beer, wine, and other stuff too. And it's in the complex, so there's a lot of traffic in the complex, which is next to Safeway too. So the complex get busy around 5 a.m. because they have a gas station and so many other businesses. That's why we want to keep it open with all the businesses, because this is the kind of regulation from the complex people too, so we can open like early. So that's why we're gonna meet with the standard of the complex.
Thank you.
Yes.
Chair.
Commissioner?
Thank you very much for your presentation. So this is on the same site where the arson occurred?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Is there a lot of remediation that you need to do?
So right now, existing, like the old liquor store was only 2,600 square feet. And then there's another vacant next door. So our plan is take that 1,600 square feet. Right now, it's available within 30 days, so we can open within 30 days. And the 2,400 will be available in 45 to 50 days because the landlord is almost ready and they're working on it. So once that done, we're gonna combine both. But the 1,600 square feet, we can start as soon as possible. And then once the 2,400 will be done, we can combine both together.
Thank you. So it'd be a 4,000 square foot.
Yes, ma'am.
And the cost to do this? What do you
So
anticipate?
to overall cost, paying to the current agent, all that, we are expecting more than $400,000. Out of that, I think $150,000 approximately go to the agent. And the rest, almost $250,000 on the renovation. And then approximately $100,000 to buy the equipment, shelves, lighting and all this stuff.
So a total of what, 450?
Close to 450, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Chair,
Question.
forgive me if you've already said it, but where do you live?
I live in Salem, Oregon.
Okay,
Yes.
and which is pretty close.
15 minutes drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're familiar with the area?
Yes, we already have one store over there.
And I was gonna ask what your experience is in retail.
So-
liquor sales.
Yes, I do have an 18-year experience in retail.
Okay.
So I already have a current liquor store in Amarillo, Oregon. I own it since 2015. And I have several other convenience stores too. But in Dallas, we already have one liquor store, not liquor store, convenience store with gas station. Basically across the street from Safeway.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm in this community from 2018. In Dallas community.
Well, that answered my next question, which was why have you decided to apply for a liquor license? And
Yeah.
it sounds like you were in the business already. All right, thank you.
So you anticipate what, 40 hours a week you're gonna spend at this store?
Yes, sir.
You've got lots of, it sounds like you got lots.
I don't manage all the stores. I manage only one store.
Oh, okay.
It's a family-owned business. So I have brother, sister, my dad. They take care of all. I just take care only of one store, the Aldi store.
Okay.
Yeah, where
Yeah,
is
the
your
liquor
brother?
Yeah.
Your brother-in-law is partnering with you?
Yeah, yeah,
And is
yeah.
he here today?
Yeah, he's here. He's taking care of the convenience store. Yeah.
Very
Hello.
good.
I just take care only the liquor store.
Okay.
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 All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you very
Thank
much. Nice
You're welcome.
presentation.
Thanks.
Yeah, she very.
I'm gonna give Brandon another shot. I think he's on.
Yeah, let's do that. That's,
That's Brandon Farmer for Charleston.
morning, Brandon. You there?
Mr. Farmer, can you hear us?
Let me make him a presenter again.
You're able to get a phone number for him?
No, he's he's on the Teams link. Looks unmuted.
Hey.
Hey, Brandon.
He looks like.
On his phone and on us. I can call, I know, I know he's dialed in. Do you want me to call him and just put him on speakerphone?
Yeah.
Last resort,
Yeah,
right?
Sure. Let's do it.
Andy, let's do chat.
Looks like you can hear us, so Mindy's gonna call you and we'll put you on speaker.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
Would you like me to just walk around?
Just hold it right there. Yeah.
We can hear you. I'm gonna put you right here.
Hello, Mr. Farmer, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
This is Commissioner Floyd. Did you hear about the, you got 7 minutes?
Yes, I did hear that.
Perfect, perfect. I'll give you a 30-second warning. And whenever you're ready.
Okay. Should I wait for my slider? Should I just go?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
There's your slide.
My name is Brandon Farmer. My store is in Charleston, Oregon. It's the liquor store 1211. It's we own the general store. My wife and I do, and then the liquor store is attached to it.
And that's my wife. We were working Christmas Day, and that's the store there. Next slide. A little history about myself. I served in the United States Air Force for 12 and a half years. I was security forces and investigations. After that, I had the opportunity to go to New York. I had a friend over there that worked for Pepsi, and I was a salesman over there for roughly 2 years. My second year there, in 2014, I was actually received a salesman of the area. Only after 2 years doing that, but I wanted to come back to Oregon, so I transferred to Frito and came down here to Coos Bay. I worked for Frito for 8.5 years. In 2023, I had earned a top salesman for Frito-Lay in all of Oregon. I raised sales from $1.5 to $1.9 million in that year. My wife and I, we purchased Old General Store last June from her parents, and I took over the temporary sales agent in July, a month later, from Wally Hazen, who is my father-in-law as well. Next slide. A little history about the store. The store is over 100 years old. It originally started out as a church school. Word on the streets, turned into a brothel a little bit after that, and then it turned into a general store. It was the primary general store for the area prior to the bridge being built, before even David Jones was built across the street. As a primary gathering place for the residents on their summer days. When the boats would come in, they'd gather in there. They'd put all their gatherings there. They'd sell stuff as a trading post as well. We bought it from Winnie Wally Hazen, which is my wife's family. They bought it in 1996. Her aunt, Lisa, has been the manager since 1996. So it gives me the opportunity to fall back on them if I have any questions, anything that's happened over the years. If I have questions about the store, if I have questions about the liquor, I have that at my reach. Next slide, please. Here's some of the pictures of our store. The liquor section, it's not super huge. It's just a little corner section of the store, but we pack a lot in there and we keep adding more stuff in there. Next slide. And next slide. Some of the changes that I've done since I've taken over the last year, I've added a new section in the area. So any of the new items that we get, we not only put it on the shelves in its normal section where we put it, we also have it in the new section areas. So it kind of gives people two options to kind of see it, and hopefully it helps with the sales of those, because usually if you see it once or you don't notice it in one section, you go to the new one, you see it a second time, you're like, oh, I might as well grab that, see what it tastes like. I've added over 40 SKUs since taking over, and hopefully that'll keep growing as we kind of figure out more of the market, what people are buying. I've come in contact with the Coos Bay liquor store and North End liquor store, just kind of see what they sell, what their higher selling items are. And if we don't have it, I'll bring it in just to kind of give that clientele out where we live that option. I've brought in a few of the higher end stuff, not a whole lot, just because, again, our clientele are more the fishermen. It's a fisherman community. So we try not to go too high, but we have those options there because it is tourists during summertime. To improve marketing, I purchased ads in the local papers and also the RV map section, RVUSA.com and RVUSA mobile app. We have ads in there for not only the general store, but the liquor part as well. And there's also a local mapping, a local map that is handed out by the RV sites around our area that has the advertisement on there as well. Recently, we've extended our liquor hours from 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday and 9 to 8 on Sunday. It's to accommodate more of the fishermen that come in. We were closing at 8 for the liquor part, but as I've kind of figured out throughout the last year, that once they come off the boats, they've got to clean them, they got to take care of all their stuff. They couldn't always come in and get there by 8 o'clock. So we've extended that out. I'm hoping to get some more sales. We're currently looking at purchasing new shelving for the area. Our shelving is decent, but it's kind of worn out, needs a little life to it. So we're looking at buying some more of that, painting it up and just making it look a little brighter so you can see the product better. And then as far as the signage there, that last one, I've already purchased it. It's already in the store. I bought a LED light that says liquor. And then on the outside, I've got, it's a 3-foot by 8-foot flag sign that's outside that says liquor as well. And we're hoping that these additions that we've done will pick up our sales, since liquor sales are down for the last year, and due to weather and everything else, we're hoping that these additions will pick those sales up a little bit. And that is my presentation.
Thank you. Nice presentation.
Thank you. Yeah.
Commissioners? Brandon, excellent presentation. Thank you very much. And I appreciate your Air Force service.
Yeah.
Of course. I think that's it. That's well, we
Yeah.
got to. Thank you very much.
You to bring your #1 sales, magic to the general store.
Okay, so back to 1016 Dallas, we've got David Moore.
Alice.
Right.
Okay. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was continued. Let me get there.
David is a son of the
Yes.
temporary agent.
Yes, Tim was my stepfather. My mother got the temporary agent position, but due to her health, I stepped in to help out with the store. And then when the time came to apply, we decided that because of her health, that I would step up and apply for this position. Hopefully to keep it in the family as Tim was.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Moore, whenever you're ready.
All right. So I just want to say thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it. It's an honor. Kind of overwhelming, but it's really nice to be here. So thank you very much for having me. So Dallas Liquor is the name of the store. Our logo has the courthouse behind it. It's a very friendly local liquor store. You can hop over to the next slide.